Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. I'm Chantal, the Marketing Executive here at Sagittarius, and I'll be hosting today's webinar about Sitecore 9 Marketing Features for Marketeers. I'm joined by today's presenter and Sitecore expert, Natalie Waite. There will be some time at the end of the session for questions, so please feel free to submit these using the box on your screen. Just a reminder that today's webinar will be recorded and that we'll be sharing this with all of you at the end of the week. That's everything from me. Over to you, Nat.
Thank you, Chantal. Hello to you that have joined our webinar today. Welcome back to those who know us here at Sagittarius. And for those who are new to our agency, a warm welcome and a little introduction to who we are before I kick off. But first, we'll just take a quick look at the agenda of what we're going to cover off today. So quick welcome and introduction to Sagittarius. A quick overview of some of the updates in Sitecore 9. I'm then going to proceed into a more in-depth overview of forms and marketing automation. I'll also give you a live demo of those as well. We'll wrap up with a bit of a summary and then we'll fall into some Q&A. So to start, who are we? My name's Natalie. I'm an account manager and an SBOSS and strategic consultant here at Sagittarius. My background has a strong focus on consumers and buying patterns and includes buying for the UK's largest television shopping channel, strategic online marketing across the UK's automotive industry, and here at Sagittarius I focus on assisting our clients to get the most out of the Sitecore platform. Sagittarius was founded in 1979 as a print advertising agency and has since evolved to become a digital-only agency specialising in the Sitecore platform and performance marketing. So we focus on high performance guaranteed, and how do we do that? We simply do that by focusing on two main areas: digital marketing, which drives traffic and creates raving fans, and e-commerce websites and apps that convert more sales. As an organisation, we kind of split into three key areas, one covering off strategy, including creative, data insights, UX and conversion optimization, all supported by SEO and information data there, paid search, social strategy, content strategy and email marketing with our digital marketing team, and all implemented on site with our design and build team. So let's get into it. Sitecore 9, what's new? Sitecore version 9 promises to deliver value in innovation, enhancements, and its time to market capabilities. There have been notable and significant improvements to the platform and user interface of the Experience Manager and Experience platform. As a marketeer at heart, I feel more attuned to the latest version of Sitecore 9 than any other so far. And so far, it seems to deliver on the promise of Sitecore and makes marketing automation seem truly possible. Whilst there have been improvements both functionally and technically that make the platform better for us marketing folk, I'm actually going to be dedicating this session to marketing features, and two key improvements we'll see the value in immediately, as mentioned, which is the forms and the marketing automation features. That said, I'm going to give you a brief introduction to some of the key aspects of the 9 release. So what's new? Sitecore 9 is secure by default. It utilises an expanded database support. It offers new Sitecore X Connect API, which I'll cover off in a little detail later on. It offers streamlined migration and conversion tools, new federated authentication. EXM is installed as standard. That doesn't mean to say that it's configured though, so do bear that in mind. Sitecore 9 also introduces new Sitecore Cortex. It also introduces the new headless and JavaScript services. On top of that, from the marketing perspective, the main key improvements I've noticed are the new purpose-built forms and improved marketing automation. So I'm going to say it, GDPR, one time only. So what do I mean by that? In 8.2, the XDB database began supporting encryption at rest. In 9, it supports SSL encryption for data in motion as well. Using XConnect, it's much easier to manage user data, including anonymizing data, exporting records, and updating preferences. There are a few other GDPR compliant features, including the ability to enforce encryption and data across the whole architecture and enforcing the use of HTTPS. I will say no more and move on to XConnect. XConnect is a new API in Sitecore 9 for the collection and sharing of all data in Sitecore, including content, users, and analytics data. This is a new feature in version 9 and replaces the current API that only supports the sharing of core user data and content. It enables bidirectional data transfer to and from leading CRM systems, including current support for Microsoft Dynamics CRM and Salesforce CRM. What does this mean for us marketers? Well, marketers can use the information locked in the CRM to personalize content, campaigns, commerce experiences delivered to their customers and prospects, and record campaigns and customer interactions in the CRM for a more complete picture in both systems. This becomes more powerful when it's blended with all of the other XDB and contextual data captured. So by this, we're basically enabling the 360 degree of the view of the customer. So just quickly, I'm going to go into a little bit of future gazing. And what do I mean by that? Sitecore Cortex. So with 9, Sitecore introduces Sitecore Cortex. Sitecore have applied a very distinct machine learning algorithm in combination with a powerful ML engine that operates on XDB data to give businesses huge advantage in automation, processing, and intelligent insights. The Cortex engine is a Windows service composed of a series of specialized machine learning processing pipelines. For those that use Sitecore Cloud or Azure for hosting, then you'll be able to take advantage of the new Cortex functionality. Cortex uses the Microsoft Machine Learning API, and it's used for generating insights and opportunities with your platform. For example, using Cortex, Sitecore suggests audience profiles are more likely to convert on a specific goal or goals, and it will also recommend optimization opportunities based on user behavior. So it really is future gazing, the opportunity that Sitecore enables moving forwards. And towards the end of the webinar, I will touch very briefly on an event that we have coming up in June, which will discuss Sitecore Cortex in more detail. Headless. So what do we mean by headless? So headless CMS support using the new JSON API and JSS supports the exposure of all content and presentation elements as JSON. This means that you can use Sitecore as a central content API for the website and mobile apps if you use them. All content is shared via the JSON API and can be personalized and tested, with all resulting analytics data being collected back into the Sitecore analytics. So just moving on, let's get into it. So I've spoken several times with some of my clients around Sitecore 9 versus Sitecore 8. So I thought I'd just give you a very quick overview of the dashboard itself, or the launchpad rather, and what it looks like when you'll land into Sitecore 9, so you can kind of get an idea of what the differences are. So this is Sitecore 8. You'll notice that when moving to Sitecore 9 that Convo Social no longer exists. And this is Sitecore 9. So a very similar arrangement. What you'll notice is we've now got Sitecore Commerce, which is new to Sitecore 9. We have this installed on our demo site, but it doesn't come out of the box. Email Experience Manager does come out of the box. It's now installed as standard, but that does not mean that it is configured. So when I'll give you a quick demo of what it looks like. Everything's in there, you can see it visually, but you do need to configure your settings to enable EXM to work, send emails. You'll also need to set up the email templates and components. One other thing to note is that EXM in Sitecore 9 enables email at scale, enabling around 25 million sends per month. And if you're using the Sitecore email cloud, there's also guarantees on the deliverability and reputation management. The old EXM didn't allow for many emails per month, so some people have experienced performance issues. So basically in 9, there's been some major improvements to the system, and it's now more scalable. And like I say, it's out of the box, so you don't need to install it. We've also got forms, which I'll go into in more detail. This replaces WFFM. It is built from the ground up, so it isn't refactoring WFFM. It is a brand new module. And you'll also notice marketing automation down here. Again, this is a brand new module. It replaces engagement plans that typically sat in the marketing control panel, but it now has its own module. And it is marketing automation and forms that I'll go into in a little bit more detail now. So Sitecore Forms replaces WFFM. It is brand new, built from the ground up. It's been specifically built for marketeers. There's a far improved user interface. It includes drag and drop functionality, multi-page forms, reusable and reskinnable forms on front end, and the data captured in XDB is in real time as well. So just to give you a quick overview of the old versus the new. This is what WFFM looks like in the current version of 9. WFFM was previously a module that needed to be installed and configured, so there's a lot of cost involved there. It doesn't always, it can be quite tricky to get the form set up every now and then. But with new forms, you can easily create more fields and multi-step pages. There's a drag and drop functionality. Forms has a basic styling already there, so it's much easier to style with specific components using forms than it was with WFFM. Forms can also enables you to trigger goals, actions, etc. as soon as users hit the button. As I said earlier, you can have multi-page forms, you can have next and back buttons, and you can track those as well. You can also add in tick box fields, and you can identify whether or not you want to store the details in the database or not. So for example, you might want to store first name, second name and email address, but you wouldn't want to store credit card details as an example. You'll also notice when I get into it that the password and password confirmation does not give you the option to store that data either. You can also easily add watermarks to fields. So I'm now going to jump into a bit of a real-time demo. So fingers crossed it goes well, so bear with me. Just finding my cursor. So as I said, this is the launch pad for Sitecore 9. We've got commerce up here. We've got all of our marketing applications here, content editing applications here, control panel, and access management. All of these remain the same as mentioned. Confo is gone, and in the marketing applications area, we've got additional modules, namely forms and marketing automation. We also have EXM installed as standard, but not configured. So bear with me, I just need to log back in. So EXM it's out of the box as standard, as you can see. It looks and works in exactly the same way as EXM 3.5 or previous. It's easy to create emails. You have the same options for creating regular emails, automated emails, and the same options with regards to lists here as well. I'm going to create an automated email very quickly for you, just so you can see how easy it is. And the reason I'm doing this is because you will notice later on how automated emails are utilized in the marketing automation as well. So, test automated email live demo. So that's the name of my automated email. And what do I mean by automated email? This will send based on a trigger rather than me selecting a list and adding users into that list and identifying a date. It will automatically send, and you can tie it up to a marketing automation piece as well. So just bear with me while it loads. So again, general, you've got all exactly the same information here. We haven't set our demo site up yet to send any emails, but typically once you've configured everything, all of this information will fall into here. But I'm just going to give you an example here. Okay, you can see that ticks. So moving on to the message. As standard, we have this habitat example, but as you move through EXM and you have it built out and configured, you will need to have your own templates and components built out in line with what you want to do with your marketing. As always, add in a subject, and you can go in and edit the body of the content if you require. But we're not going to in this case. I'm just going to give you a quick look so you can see. So as you can see, it works in exactly the same way as components on the website. Review, if you wish to send a preview to yourself, you can do. And then delivery. This is where we would activate the message. If it's not activated, it won't appear in your marketing automation, and the same goes for engagement plans. I'm going to click activate message, but because we haven't actually configured this with any domains, it won't actually activate, but just so you can see what we would do. So that's one of the first things you'll need to do if you want to set up an marketing automation which relies on the email. So I'm going to go back now, but as you can see, it looks and works exactly the same as EXM 3.5. And again, you've got your lists of emails down here, drafts, those that are in progress, automated emails, scheduled, sent campaigns, and all of your delivery service information here as well. So I'm going to get back out of that and then I'm going to jump into forms to give you a quick demo. So one thing you can see here, I've added in a picture of myself, and it's not because I'm vain, it's the only one I could find on my laptop, but the reason I've added that in there is so that you can see you can actually add images against the different forms. So for example, if you had a particular campaign that you were running and you wanted an image that you could easily find, you could easily view that form, you can do that. I'm going to jump into this demo form that I created previously. And as you can see, certainly compared to WFFM, it is so much more user-friendly. The user interface is so much better, so much easier, so much more natural. I'm going to hide this right-hand column very quickly, just so you can see that that opens and closes. Nothing too fancy. You've got your language options here. You've got save here. You've got save as a template. So if you wanted to reuse this form with slightly different information, you can save the template. And you've also got the delete button here and save. So as and when, I'll give you a quick demo later as well on building this form out. On the right hand side here, you've got the navigation for the form building itself, We have a performance tab here. So as and when you start to gather information from the forms, people are submitting forms, you can actually start to track the performance of that form itself. You can change the date and you can identify the abandonment rate, average time and error rate. There are certain settings that you can assign to your forms. So you can add styling using CSS class. You can add thumbnails, as I showed you earlier on. Quite simply, you just find your image in the media library, or you can upload an image there and then. And then there's advanced settings here. So you can identify whether or not you want to track the performance of the form and whether or not you want Ajax enabled. And it's simple tick box on and off. You'd then click apply. In the design here, we've got different form elements. So we've got basic form elements, which are text, which is this one here. So that could be the introduction to the form. You've then got data entry fields, including single line text, multiple line text, numbers, emails, telephone, checkbox, and date. You then got different lists that you can make use of: drop down, list box, checkbox, list, and radial button. Different security fields as well, so password and password confirmation, as I mentioned earlier. And then there's different elements you can utilize to set the structure of your form itself. So that's the introduction. I'm now going to go back and attempt to do a demo in front of you so you can see how easy it is. So blank form. And this is what you get upon first entering into the form itself. I'm actually going to set the structure first because that's where I like to work. I'm going to be creating a 2-page form. So I've got, bear with me. Okay, it's not going to work. So I'm going to not set the structure first. I'm going to set my basic information. So I'm adding in a section here first. And then above it, I'm going to add in some text. And this is where I'm going to introduce the form to my users. So we're going to be setting up a monthly newsletter. So it is sign up to our monthly newsletter. Field name is used for the reporting that you get from your form, so it needs to be relevant to you. So I'm just going to call it title or form title. And you can also change the HTML tag as well. So I'm going to put this as an H2 tag. Again, you can add your CSS styling if you wish. And you've also got some performance here as and when your form starts to accrue data. So I'm going to hit apply and you can see that that automatically changes the format. So you can visually see it in front of your eyes growing. I'm now going to add in some single line texts. And I'm going to add in 2 for first name and surname. Click on here. So the label is first name. This is what the users will see. And again, the field name is what you'll see in your reporting. So I'm going to make it relevant and just call it first name again as well. You can add in a value, placeholder text, sorry, a default value or a placeholder text. I'm going to add in some placeholder text. So enter your first name here. I can set a minimum character length or a maximum character length. I can identify whether or not this field is optional or mandatory. I'm going to hit mandatory and I can apply styling again. I can also define whether or not I track this element and whether or not we save this information into the database as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click apply and you can see that this updates. I'm now going to do exactly the same for my surname. hit mandatory, click apply. Done. I'm now going to add in an email. And again, we go through the same process. So this is email, placeholder text. So for example, we might have your name at email.com as an example. Character length, we can set that if we wish. Here we're saying that we need to validate that this is an email when entered, yes, and again it's mandatory, so hit apply, and we're going to save the information as well. Great, so we've got these 3 fields. I'm now going to add in a button because this is going to be a 2-pager. So I'm just going down to the structure, I'm going to drag it across, and it's going to sit underneath this section. I'm going to change the text to next, and that's what the button will read itself. This is the field name again, so this is the next button, and this identifies the navigation. So I'm going to hit next because then it will move us on to the next page. We can add in some CSS styling, so I'm going to use a bootstrap styling. Hopefully this will work. And I can also identify submit actions if I wanted to at this point. For example, I might want to trigger a goal to identify that the user has hit the first step. You can create a goal directly in here. You don't have to go back into the marketing control panel as you did historically. I'm going to assign the newsletter sign up page 1 complete goal and hit apply. Great, so that's the first page done. I'm going to hit save because that is not adding a page. So I'm going to save this as live demo of forms. And try and add this page. It's not going to work. There we go, cool. So on my next page, I basically want to get a little bit more information from our users. So I'm going to add in another section, and I'm going to add in a list, and I'm going to put in a drop down. And in my drop down, I'm going to label this, how did you hear about us? Field name, drop down, list, and you can identify this as whatever you need it to be. List items, so you can add in the number of items that you want to be included in your drop down. So for example, we might put Facebook, add new, say Google search, and go for a classic friend. You can identify whether or not you want the labels to be customized, and if you do that, you basically get a value here that you can define the customized label. I'm going to keep them as standard. I can also identify which item shows as default, but I don't want to encourage users to select either or, so I'm going to leave it empty. And you can also identify whether or not an empty list at the top of the list. I can also identify whether it's optional or mandatory. I'm going to be kind and leave it as optional. And again, you've got your styling and your performance settings. Click save. I'm then going to just add in some text just to reassure my users that I'm not going to be using their data for anything untoward. So in my text, I'm just going to put something along the lines of, and forgive me if I make a spelling mistake, and will be used solely, can't spell, for the purpose of sending them monthly newsletter. Okay, I'm just going to leave that at that. Field name text, again, whatever you want it to be. You can change the look and feel. And again, you've got styling. I'm then going to add in a checkbox. And this is going to say, do you wish to receive our monthly newsletter? I'm going to call this confirmation. I can manually build out my list, or I can dynamically select one from my content tree. I'm going to manually build this out, and it's simply going to be yes or no. And again, you get the option to customize them if you wish. Mandatory yes or no, in this case yes. And again, you've got your styling and save details here. So we're nearly there. I'm now going to add my final button, which is the confirmation button or submit button. I'm going to pop that at the bottom here. And again, update the text. So I'm going to say, send me the newsletter. Field name is submit button. Navigation step is submit. And again, I can add some styling to this if I wanted to. I'm also going to add some save actions in this case as well. So first of all, I'm going to save my data. I'm going to trigger a goal. Newsletter sign up, okay. And I'm also going to redirect to a page. I've previously built. So if you bear with me while I just find that. That's my thank you page. Okay, click apply. Click save. And we're done. I can then go back into my list of forms, and you can see that it is in here. What you might have noticed is that my button styling didn't update, so I'm just going to jump back in here just so you can see what it should look like. So as you can see, by adding the bootstrap, it actually changes the styling of the buttons there as well. And that is as simple as that to create forms. So as I said, much easier than WFFM. So I'm going to jump back into the presentation now. So my review on forms. There's far more flexibility in terms of creating and using the forms. For example, you can create sections and pages. The forms can be reused across multiple pages of the site. It can be reskinned and so on. In short, it's so much easier. The user interface is way better. As you saw, it's drag and drop functionality, so it's so easy to use. The improvements to tracking mean that you can actually start to monitor dropouts from one page to another. You can add multiple pages, which as a marketer, that is kind of essential, and the fact that you can actually trigger goals on each of those as well. So I am a fan. And moving swiftly on in the interest of time. Marketing automation is the next piece we're going to have a look at. Again, this is a brand new module built from the ground up, built specifically for marketers and replaces engagement planning. Again, it's much easier, but I'm going to give you a quick demo and then give you my review as well to follow that up. It offers, like I said, improved user interface, drag and drop functionality. You can it has forms and email integrated into it, so it's really quick and simple to create automation versus engagement plans as well. And again, EXM supports email at scale, as does marketing automation, so it's a far better experience and far better performance. So old versus new. So for those of you who aren't aware of engagement plans, this is what the engagement plans look like. It's kind of old in terms of its styling, versus marketing automation, which is a brand new feature in Sitecore 9 and replaces the engagement plan functionality. And as you saw on the launchpad, it is its own module, whereas engagement plans did sit within the marketing control panel. That is now not there, and it is replaced with marketing automation. With the new automated marketing functionality, as I said, you can drag and drop user journeys into workflows and do things like triggered emails, autoresponders, update profiles and engagement values, and so on. And with a two-way connected to Dynamics or any other CRM, you can start to incorporate information from those other data sources as well. So another real-time demo, so fingers crossed this one goes well. So bear with me while we jump back into Sitecore. So I'm going to get back to the launchpad, and as I said, engagement planning did sit within marketing control panel. That is now completely gone and is replaced with marketing automation. Again, similar look and feel to forms and EXM, incredibly easy to use, very intuitive. I'm going to give you a quick example of one I pulled together before, so you can have a look at what it looks like. The way in which you can actually manipulate or move the plan around is much better than engagement plans. Engagement plans utilize Silverlight, Microsoft Silverlight, and is only available on certain browsers as well, so that is a limitation of engagement planning. It is kind of glitchy and quite clunky in the way that it works, and I probably should have mentioned that before, but you basically have to create different states, and all of the states need to have a trigger. You then fall into an action from there on. I'm more than happy to demonstrate how engagement plan works. If anybody wishes to receive that information, please do give me a shout. Anyway, back to marketing automation. As I said, easy to move around. I use a Mac, so my mouse is quite easy to zoom in and out. So if you do use a Mac, just be aware of that you zoom in and out more easily than you might think. You can pick up the automation plan and move it around really easily. And in the same way that forms works, you've got this toolbox on the right hand side, and I'm going to close that and open that. You also have this report view as well. So as and when you've got users falling into your marketing automation plan, you can start to hit the report view, and what it will do is actually show you how many users are at each stage of the marketing automation plan. It won't work on here as well, but as you saw, you also get the campaign overview on the right hand side. And the reason it's not working is because we actually haven't triggered any people into this automation plan as yet, with it being the demo site. Down here we've got the toolbox, we've got all of the different marketing actions, we've got different listeners, decision points and other elements. And I'll start to give you a quick introduction to those as I move through the demo as well. But the purpose of this is just to show visually what it looks like at the end. You've also got this navigation bar at the top, and the same way as EXM, you can choose which ones you want to show on your toolbar and which ones you don't. So you've got your campaign details, activate. So again, you have to activate this similarly as you would have done engagement plans, but you don't have to go through the whole process of deploying and publishing. You just hit activate. You can pause it, you can delete it, and you can copy it, which is also really useful. And there's also the undo and redo functionality, which is also quite useful as well. So I'm going to go back and try and give you a live demo of this, and excuse my toolbar that has popped up here as well. So bear with me. So this is the start and this is the end currently as it stands. Unlike engagement plans, you don't have to enroll a campaign into an engagement plan using the marketing control panel. You can set up the whole marketing automation piece within this module itself. To start with, you can trigger the marketing automation piece with a goal, an event, or an outcome. You can also do more specific rules using the rule set editor, and I'll give you a quick demo of all of those as well. You can also decide whether or not you want it to be any of these or all of these, so you can add different ones. In this case, we're going to do a newsletter sign up. And you can see the updates there. We can go back into this and change it. And if I wanted to add a specific rule, I can use the rule set editor in exactly the same way as you do with personalization and other elements within Sitecore. So for example, if we wanted to look for a goal or GeoIP or campaign and so on, but we're not going to in this example. So I'm going to leave it as the newsletter sign up. I'm then going to say once my user has triggered that goal, and that is the goal that we assigned at the end of our form earlier on, I'm then going to make sure that the email address supplied is a valid email. So I'm going to validate my email, and as you can see, it really is simple as drag and drop. It's so easy. This will automatically validate whether or not the email is real. So I'm going to click apply. I'm then going to go and send an email to my users, and the purpose of this is to confirm that they're happy that they've enrolled in my newsletter. Click here and you can select an email campaign, and at the beginning you'll recall that I touched on EXM and automated campaigns. Now if my automated campaign had saved, it would have fallen into this list and I can assign it to that. So for the purpose of this demo, I'm just going to say subscription notification and click apply. What you can do also is go back into EXM and view the campaign details if you require. So we're going to hit apply. And then I'm going to start making some decisions with these users. So my users completed their form, they therefore triggered the goal. I validated their email, and then I've sent them an email. And the reason I'm sending them an email is because I want them to confirm they're happy to receive the monthly newsletter. And to do that, I'm going to make use of one of these listeners. The listeners essentially work in a similar way to the triggers that would have done an engagement plan. So you can do it based on a campaign that's been triggered. You can define your custom listener, and again, that's using the rule set editor. You can do it on a goal triggered, an outcome that's been triggered, or a visit listener. So that can be somebody that's landed on your website, and that is specific to time. I'm going to set my goal here. So the name is goal triggered. So I'm going to change the name to newsletter confirmation. And I'm going to select my goal. And I set one up earlier. So I'm going to suggest that on my email that I've sent, I have either a goal or a goal assigned to a landing page to confirm. I'm going to say here that they have confirmed they've hit that goal. And I'm going to say I can, and again, you can build out your goals. I'm going to say that I want to listen for 5 days. Or you can listen until a date set, so you can define your date as well. Hit apply. It then creates your yes and no funnels. So on my no, this is quite important because this user has not confirmed that they wish to receive any emails. So in the interest of user data and security of data, I'm going to update their consent settings using this action here. And again, drag and drop, and you'll see I can define whether or not I mark it to them or whether or not they've consented. I'm going to say do not mark it and consent revoked. Hit apply. I'm then also going to add them to a contact list. And that contact list is going to be my global opt-out. Hit apply. You can see that this now then goes to the end of the campaign, the marketing automation piece. But just to be sure, I'm actually going to remove them from this campaign as well. It will then give me a notification to say that it won't follow the path. I'm going to hit OK. So everybody who's not confirmed that they wish to receive the email, we're now safe in the knowledge that we've removed them. They're in our global opt-out list. They won't be receiving any information. I'm now going to move on to the yeses. So again, I'm going to scroll back up and I'm going to add them to a contact list. But the contact list I'm adding to them to this time is my newsletter list. Hit apply. I'm then going to say, well, they've shown interest in our brand and our newsletter, so I'm going to increase their engagement value. And I can identify whatever value I wish. It's just a newsletter, so I'm going to say 50 points. Sorry about that. As I said, the Mac mouse is very sensitive. Okay, so I've added them to my newsletter list. I've increased their value points. I'm now going to send them an email. And again, this is where your automated emails come in. I'm just going to utilize subscription confirmation in this instance as an example. I'm then going to say, well, actually, rather than end this automation plan, I'm going to move them to another campaign. And my campaign would be the newsletter campaign. So again, we're going to delete this path. And you can see here, oh, I apologize. So here is where I'd add my new campaign that I'm going to enroll them in. So newsletter confirmation. Click apply, and they're now safely in there. Hit save. I'm going to title my campaign details to Marketing Automation Demo. I can add a description if I wanted to. I can set my start date and my end date. Hit save. And again, if I wanted to view that information, I could hit this preview button here. But what I'm going to do is activate my campaign. And it is as simple as that. And you'll see that my campaign has now been safely added into my list here. So I'm going to get back to the presentation. So in summary, so my review of marketing automation versus engagement plans. Engagement plans can be tricky, it's kind of clunky. It does the job if you know how to use it. It can be really, really useful. But my review of marketing automation is vastly improved user interface, so much better than engagement plans. Like I said, everything is all in one place. So it's a native integration across all channels with your emails. You can add goals and so on. It's just so much easier. That also means that it's far less daunting for new users, and it all now feels possible, whereas before it felt kind of more like a challenge, but this makes it so much easier. So as a marketeer, it's kind of that marketing dream coming true. So with a trifecta of forms to capture data, marketing automation to nurture or follow up, and email at scale, we've got a great opportunity now to meet the needs of customers and actually drop them into that automated campaign and deliver content marketing in context. So in summary, what does Sitecore 9 do? It delivers on the promise of Sitecore. Architecturally, it's more joined up. has a wider support technology base, introduces genuinely useful new features for marketers, and puts the power back in the hands of the marketeer. It's vastly improved the usability of the tools. The focus is now to unlock the value, making it more easy with upgrades, helped by the tools released to make some of that process a lot easier as well. And with the integration opportunities that XConnect presents, it really does offer the opportunity for that 360-degree view of the customer. So I've added some further reading links here for you guys to take a look at your leisure once the webinar goes live on YouTube channel. Just as an FYI, we're constantly updating our blog, adding more content on there. So there's loads of fantastic content on there. So I'd advise giving it a quick browse every now and then. I'm going to take the opportunity of a shameless plug of our next event that's being held on the 29th of June in London. It's going to be delivered by Paul, our CEO, and is held in collaboration with Bench and Microsoft to bring you the customer centricity event. I'd suggest taking a look on Eventbrite or contacting us for more information. And again, this will start to cover off some of the details around Sitecore Cortex and how you can make use of it. So thank you, and we'll move on to some questions. Chantal.
Yes, thank you, Natalie, very much for that very insightful webinar. We've got enough time for 2 questions, so I'm just going to do those now. If you do have any further questions, please submit them and we will get back to you. So question number 1, I've got someone here who's considering installing EXM on their current 8.1 version of Sitecore, but they're also thinking about upgrading to Sitecore 9. What would you suggest in terms of order of doing those upgrades?
So in terms of the order, I'd suggest upgrading to Sitecore 9 first, because as I mentioned earlier, Sitecore 9 does come with EXM installed. It's EXM version 3.5 and offers far better performance in terms of email at scale. So you're going to benefit more by upgrading to Sitecore 9 and then configuring EXM and setting everything up to send emails.
Lovely. Is there anything I need to be aware of when doing an upgrade?
There are a couple of things that I should point out. There are some more technical ones, but I'm just going to give you a couple of the ones that I'm aware of. First of all, Sitecore 9 uses Solar Search instead of Lucene, which most people use for their search engine on Sitecore 8 and before. But on 9, you need to upgrade to Solar Search. Yes, it is an upgrade, but there is also the benefit of a vastly improved search engine, so you can actually manipulate the results a lot better and start to promote results if you need to. And another one is that the analytics data is now going to be stored in SQL rather than the MongoDB. So again, that is something you'll need to consider with regards to infrastructure and your hosting. So you may need to get in touch with your hosting partner as well.
Lovely. Okay. Right. Well, that's just about everything for today. Thank you, Natalie, and thank you to everyone that has attended. I will follow up with you with the recording and again with any questions. So thank you very much.